Perfect. Okay, I started recording. Where are you from, actually?
I am from by the Chicago area.
Okay, okay.
So
Are you on Europe already, logged in? Or do we go NA then?
I'm on Europe.
Okay,
I
on
actually
Europe.
just moved the two. I moved the two replays over to Europe just now.
Okay, let's join channel
So
coaching.
okay.
What's your MMR?
Um, good question. I go up and down like very um uh quite a bit just because no build orders. I get very so I know the opener, 14 pylon,
Mm-hmm.
gateway right after, cybercore, PvP definitely in diamond, uh two gates, cybercore. Um After that I really just do what I want, and half the time it works, half the time, well, quarter of the time it works, a lot of times it doesn't. And that's kind of where I'm facing right now. I'm in that, so I'm about like 3.6. I hover around 3.6 to 4K depending on who I play.
On the NA server, I
Um,
suppose, right?
yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
play some EU
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a truck driver, so like every now and then I'm up super early, or so there's no one on NA, so sometimes I come over to the EU side of things, and um I actually messed up one of the replays 1 second.
What's your goal actually?
Uh,
What do you want? Like, do you want to advance? Let's say, I don't know, to masters, or just want to improve, or just want to play a build order? What do you want actually from this coaching? What's your goal?
I want to improve. I'm not going to be, I don't want to be a pro player, but I don't want to be, I want to actually improve in the game that I play.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very competitive mindset. I'm always pretty competitive when I play. So, and so it's a good thing and bad thing because I hate losing at that point. Um, but so I want to improve, but I think I need to actually now understand the fundamentals of Protoss instead of just now, you know, throwing it down buildings and dying to pushes that I probably shouldn't be dying to because I don't have an army at,
I
7
see.
minutes when I
Yeah,
should have one.
I understand. So
Um,
you would say your MMR would be like 3.8, something like that. Is that like Diamond 2 or something?
yeah, Diamond 2, Diamond 1,
Mm-hmm.
hovers around there. With my, so I used to be a Zerg player, but I hate playing late game Zerg. Like I've always hated it. So I was a very all indie or timing attack player, and the the reason why I always hated it was the multiple spot casters that Zergs have to use in late game. I mean, they need lurkers. I guess not multiple spellcaster, but um, they need lurkers, they need vipers, depending on the army composition, they need infestors. And I always just jumbled up my hotkeys when I did that.
Yeah.
And I literally just switched to Zerg in Legacy of the Void. I was always a Protoss main beforehand. So um I went back to Protoss, and well, part of the Swarm and Wings of Liberty builds don't work real well in Legacy of the Void.
Yeah,
So
it's a much different game, especially with the economy right now. It's completely different. Would you say you are more of a standard player or you're cheeky cheeser? You said something about timing attacks.
I'm more of a so I'm okay with getting to the late game, but I really like a very strong timing attacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Something where I can macro out of it, but a timing attack that if I execute properly, um, I could kill the opponent at that time
Isn't that what
of
we
the
all
game.
want?
Oh yeah, I know. That's that's a lot of the pro plays.
All right, do you have a replay?
So. Um, this is a this is one of the problems I'm having in PvT. It's
Mm-hmm.
a all in. I don't know if it happened in ESL or whatever. It just started happening so much on the NA ladder, but it's a three racks on one base, and then they pull all their SCVs.
Funny
Um,
story. I actually lost to this like 2 days ago or something like that. But it was not a 3 racks, but a 4 racks.
oh
On the
wow.
romantic
Okay.
side. So I think I know
Yeah,
what you're going to be talking and showing me here.
and again, I think it's partially that I don't have a really good opener outside of just the one gate expand opener, and then just hope. But
Yeah, I mean, one gate expand is the opener you want to know that. Like, there's rarely any other openers that are solid. And if you want to transition into a stronger timing attack, this is definitely the opener that you want to learn. And well, the follow-ups have to be clean and crisp if you do want to go for kind of a timing attack or just survive timing attacks from your opponent, especially in PvT, since it's usually the Terrans that are aggressive, right?
right.
Now you can go ahead and, and host the replay. Let's see.
All right.
Do you know how to do that?
Yes, I
Okay,
actually
perfect.
hosted the wrong replay.
Happens to the best.
All right.
Yeah, you can invite me. There we go. RGGEU. You can give me host. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, you know your stuff. Good. Okay, let's see. Light Shade.
Way too many replays.
Light Shade. That was a ladder game, I suppose. Is it from far long ago or?
Just probably less than a week ago.
Okay, less than a week. Let's see. A short game under 5 minutes, so that's perfect. We can definitely get something in here. We're starting with a wall off. Okay, let's see the very beginning, because I feel in these kind of games the beginning is the most crucial one. Since, well, the shorter the game, the smaller mistakes really matter the most, really. Okay, you scout. Okay, very first thing that you see that you cannot go into the main, right? That's already suspicious. But it's, for all you know, this could be a double gas opener. But because he started second supply depot so quickly, I think maybe... Is there something that you could learn here? Let's see. So go on. Oh, he actually started the barracks on the standard time. Okay. So I thought maybe because the second supply depot is so early, it could be suspicious. But, you know, on this level, it's like he's just doing it. You know, there's no purpose for that. Because he doesn't.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
He doesn't have to finish the second supply depot. All right. So go in, but already that would be, you know, alarm bells from my side. You're starting double gas. Is this the standard that you're doing with the double gas?
Not anymore. Since I've started watching a lot more protest streams, I used to, because that's I used to, basically, because I like, I'm a very greedy player. I'm just gonna, I kind of learned that from Zerg, which is probably not the greatest thing to learn. But I really like trying to tech up very fast or gain upgrades very fast, or, you know, I'm not, and that's part of the reason why I probably died very early on in this game. Because, so, normally I now start doing one gas builds.
Okay. So, first things first, you lost the scouting pylon in here while building a pylon trying to block his natural. The thing is, if you go to the ramp, right? If you just check your own vision, all you saw was the walled off ramp, right? That means you cannot get any additional information. So basically, what you want to do in this situation is to save your probe at all costs, really, not sacrifice it. At least have it patrolling in here, because then you can spot a move out. What your opponent is doing, he's moving out with the Marines to prevent you from doing that. So you need to be active with the probe, and if he moves out with the Marines, right, then you just go back with the probe. You cannot allow a Marine to kill a probe, because it's still a faster unit, so that really shouldn't happen, especially since it's your only piece of scouting before you have your first gateway unit. Second thing, you should definitely start with an adept in here, especially because you lost the probe, not a stalker, and chrono boost out the gateway unit immediately. What it would allow you to do is to shade your adept across the map immediately, and then shade it again to the natural base, and you would see there's no natural base, no command center on the low ground, which means, well, you're definitely going to be under some pressure, so you definitely can start thinking about defense. So that's the first two crucial points, I would say. And then, oh, actually you cancel the stalker and you go for the adept. So I suppose you're going to be doing something like that, but that cancel on the stalker and going for the adept actually costs you some precious seconds.
Right. Yeah, when I canceled that pylon, I was like, I need more scouting information, and adepts are pretty good at scouting.
Okay, let's see what you do. You forgot the warp gate and you're chrono boosting it now. Okay, you're going with the adept on the other side of the map. I want to see actually if you actually saw with the probe the amount of Marines, because that can also be an indicator that something else is going on. Like if your probe is being attacked by 3 Marines at a time where there can be only possibility of 2 Marines, then you know that means there's a second barracks somewhere. So I want to see when exactly you lost the probe. Okay,
I saw 2 Marine when I put the pylon down and canceled it. I saw
okay, there's one.
there was a second Marine,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, this doesn't look too suspicious. However, if it will be like my level, I would find it suspicious, because if the turn is going for 1 base, it's rare that they don't go for a barracks add-on after the first Marine, right? Like they could go for a tech lab or a reactor, but in this situation, it's definitely not a tech lab on a reactor. But I wouldn't really read too much into that. So let's go into the situation that we were before. There's the adept. Okay. You send it across the map, which is the right call. Oh, okay, yeah. Alright, so this is really the thing about cancelling the Stalker and then not starting Adept immediately. You would be able to see this move out, I would say 5 to maybe 10 seconds faster if you started the Cybercore immediately after you had the money, immediately starting the Adept and immediately chrono boosting out. That means you're saving yourself, you know, the 10 seconds, and you would be able in this situation start shield batteries in your main base. You cannot really defend your natural if you see this move out. I'm not sure what you're going to be doing. Probably saving the natural, I'm guessing. Let's see.
actually I canceled the natural.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Good start. Good start. Then you fight. You pull the pros. The battery is not done yet. It's really close, but no cigar in here. Slightly too late.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see. The moment that you saw it, what did you do? The moment you saw it. Let's check your vision. I'm checking your vision now. You see the SCVs. Okay, now it's 308. 308, you see all the SCVs and all the Marines. At 308, let's give you 1 or 2 seconds to react. Okay, at 3010, the natural should be cancelled and batteries should be starting in the main base. Let's see how much time you actually lose in here. The moment it should be all starting now. It's 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds. Okay, it's 8 seconds before the first shield battery starts. And it should be more than 1 shield battery, because if you cancel the Nexus and you cancel the shield battery at the natural, you can immediately afford more shield batteries, right? So basically at 310 you should be starting 3 batteries at the same time, and they would be finishing at around the same time. That's the delay of, let's say, 10 seconds, right? Immediately. If you take into account the 10 seconds that your adept could be arriving faster, that means it's already 20 seconds heads up for this kind of attack. But let's see what 10 seconds can make a difference in here. 10 seconds. If we pause right here, if you look at your shield battery, that the very first one that started, it's 20 out of 29. That's exactly 10 seconds difference where it would be finished. And if it would be in a better position, like near the Nexus, not necessarily near the ramp, you would even have enough energy to do the battery overcharge. But you didn't have enough energy because you were spending that on chrono boost. But even if the 3 batteries finish right now, which they should be finished with the 10 seconds delay, you pull the probes and you win this fight.
Okay.
So this one battery finishes just now. It's exactly 10 seconds too late. And this is exact time where you had the time to do it all. You were simply, well, too slow, you know? There's no real magic in here. But I hope you understand what I mean exactly by when you scouted him immediately with the moving out with the SCVs. That's exactly when you need to start reacting, because it feels like you were hesitating what to do, and that hesitation really cost you this game.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. One thing, you are also kind of like floating a little bit of money after canceling the Nexus, and then, well, you added the batteries, and I suppose you were thinking, hey, if I throw down these batteries, I should be able to defend if they finish. But well, because you were also doing a frontal wall of right against the Reaper, that means you have the batteries somewhat in an exposed situation. But that's again the precious couple of seconds that really cost you the game. But I guess you understand what I mean with this defense?
Yeah, yeah. Because if I had these show batteries up, as you said, 10 seconds earlier, heck, I could probably even had them up almost 20 seconds earlier if I actually
Yes.
went up first. And I was able to scout. This would have been a lot easier of a hold, and instead of the second adept, I could have built the sentry because I
Absolutely.
only have two.
Absolutely, yeah. A sentry is a perfect time buyer in this situation. You can force field the ramp, and that gives you what, like 8-10 seconds, whatever the force field timing is, to finish the batteries, right? And if the batteries finish and you pull the probes, there's no way that the turret can break through, and you can continuously make units out of the gateway. And you even had the robo with an immortal out. Absolutely, you would be able to defend that as well. But do you have any other questions about this game? Anything else?
I do not.
Okay, perfect. I think that's a pretty straightforward thing, but really it's, the early game timings, the all-ins like that are really up to a couple of seconds difference. And it can be frustrating sometimes, but when you watch the replay, it all makes sense.
Now, okay, question real quick. With the early game, so I normally, for building the first pylon, first gate, and cybercore, I'm rallying them out in PvT. I'm rallying them out of my nexus. Do I just, for the gateway and cybercore, which is fine with the pylon, I guess, but with the gateway and cybercore, should I just pull a probe off of my minerals to do that instead of rallying them from my nexus? Because I always float like maybe like an extra 20 to 30 minerals, which is a lot, I guess.
I mean,
early game.
I think the timings work out in a way where you can rally the probe from the nexus. If you are walling in, especially because that makes the pylon slightly further away, right? I think that's when you pull it from the nexus. If you have the pylon closer to the minerals, like making the kind of a repel wall near your minerals, I think it's fine if you pull it from the minerals. But basically, the closest the probe, whichever it is, it's really not that big of a deal. What matters is that you start your cybernetics core or your gateway immediately as you have money, not when you have 150 minerals and then you pull the probe and then you make a gateway, because that's 3 or 4 seconds difference. But immediately you have the 150 minerals and then you start a gateway, you start the cybercore, and it doesn't matter if the probe comes from the nexus or from the mineral line itself. It really is the biggest deal if you start it immediately. I hope you understand.
Okay, all right. I was just curious about that. So I just went back to America real quick to grab this replay.
I mean, I can go to NA as well. Like, it doesn't make a difference for me. I think that's easier.
I'm going back to EU.
Okay, let's stick here.
Let me rename it real quick.
Sure. It's funny that I lost against the similar timing against the guy, but the guy that I lost to had stim.
Oh, okay.
So
that would be harder.
Yeah, that's a little bit harder, but I think it hits a little bit later as well.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was like used in ESL or what, but yeah, I just started facing it a lot more.
It's a really deadly timing, definitely. If you're like an up-and-coming Terran player or you want a cheap win, this is definitely a kind of tactic that you can do against a Protoss. However, if it gets spotted early and you get force-fielded out on the ramp, it does feel kind of dumb, because it's easy to defend if it's spotted, but it can be a cheap win.
Yeah.
Right, what do we? Oh, light shade again. Oh, nice. One map.
Yeah.
Right, slightly longer game.
I didn't realize this was a light shade too. So
It's okay. What do we focus on this game?
This is actually a macro game.
Okay.
But on this macro game, I lost my third very early. And I think I was just behind all game because, again, after my first gateway, Cybercore, basically up until like your expansion, I'm kind of lost.
Yeah.
At that point. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost as well. Don't worry about PvT. it's a difficult matchup right now as well. But I mean, on this kind of level, I'm definitely not lost. I'm looking at your build order right now, and you're already starting with the double gas yet again.
Yeah.
Let's see your pro production. Your chrono boost out, you queue up. Okay. If you look at just the very beginning, you can definitely polish it a bit more. If you look at your nexus right now, you have 300 minerals, right? Your probe finishing. And look what you're doing. You're queuing up 3 probes at the time, and you start a chrono boost right now. It's a little bit of a mistake to do so, because you need that first chrono boost on the very first unit from the gateway. you will not have energy immediately, because if you don't chrono boost your first gateway unit, there's a possibility that a Reaper can jump in into your base and, well, kill a probe or two, or at least interrupt your mining a little bit.
Right.
So don't use the second chrono boost on probes. And again, if you take a look at your cybercore, it's, you know, it's a really minor thing, it looks like, but
It's like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
2 seconds late.
yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds late. So if we look at the previous game, you know, 10 seconds was a huge difference. 6 seconds can also have some impact. It might not have impact on this game or the next 10 games, but you know, one of the games it will have an impact on, so you try to pay attention to that. I want to see what you were scouting. Okay, you didn't confirm that he is making an expansion, I feel like. Let's see what you did with the probe. Yeah, you're just coming back quite early. So if you want to confirm there's an expansion from the Terran player, I actually did the same thing to the previous student on the coaching, but I can absolutely repeat this because it's very important information. Terran expansion usually goes down at around 145 to 150. Well, on the lower level, it can be varying a little bit, right? Like a couple of seconds here and there. But basically, around 150, they should have a command center on the low ground, especially if they're going for the standard opening, no wall off, no full wall off, and only one gas. So you want to keep your probe around this area up until 150. You came back with this too early, and you didn't necessarily get any information that is crucial to you. You only saw there's no proxy, but you don't know if this is a Marine first, or if this is a Reaper first, or if there's a expansion, or maybe he's hiding 2 barracks in his main right this moment. You have no idea about this. So basically keep this probe around 150, and the very first Marine, if it's a Marine first, it comes out at 145, so keep in mind that your probe can be in danger at around 145. So you could immediately have this information that he's expanding, and that would definitely ease up your mind, if you know what I mean. Okay, you start with the Adept. So this is what I don't like about the double gas opening that you're doing. You're floating a lot of gas immediately, 200 gas, and it doesn't really make a difference, right? You could have faster nexus, much faster nexus, if you only start with a singular gas, and you would have the same tech timing, because you haven't even used this kind of minerals right now. You're floating 300, and that's already the money that you could have spent immediately. Okay, this Adept. Okay, the wall of that you are doing also on Lightshade is a little bit wrong. If you're doing a Reaper wall of on Lightshade, you must have 3 buildings in here. You have a pylon for powering the 2 buildings, but the pylon has to be part of the wall of. Like Gateway and Cybercore are in a good position, but the pylon should be on the right side of the Cybercore in here if you want to do this kind of wall of, right? It should be touching the cliff, and then the Reaper cannot jump in, because the way that you're doing it currently only loses you minerals, and it doesn't prevent the Reaper from jumping in.
Right.
And the sole purpose of doing this kind of wall-off is to not let the Reaper to jump in, right? So this doesn't make sense. If you do it fully. Okay. The turn is doing 3 racks. Still no tech building. Okay, if you're doing double gas openings, absolutely use a tech building faster. Either Twilight Council, either a robotics facility, or a Stargate. If you're doing double gas, and then you go 3 gateways, that's the only tech option that doesn't require you to go double gas early, because, well, gateways don't cost gas, right? And you're not going sentries or anything like that.
Right.
Okay, you're scouting with the Adepts. You see a bunker. What do you do in the meantime? Forge first with double gas. That's very interesting. If you look at your gas count right now, you are definitely exceeding the normal quantity of that. You can absolutely warp in either sentries or another, well, tech building. You're going for the Twilight Council. Third base, okay, third base is at a good timing, at least. That's a good one. I would definitely recommend going for a sentries quite earlier if you are going for this kind of build. What it would require you, what it would allow you to do is to, well, scout what your opponent is doing. Right now, you had 2 Adepts on his side of the map. You saw the bunker and, you know, the small amount of Marines and Marauders. And especially because you saw a Marauder, that means there's a second barracks with a tech lab. Meaning, well, it's likely going to be a frontal attack, not a starport or anything like that, because, well, they need to invest into the second barrack with a tech lab, right? That means that the starport and the factory is going to be slightly delayed. Okay, in this moment, you are not seeing a move out whatsoever from his side. You are going to be, let's say, blindsided by it quite a bit. Okay, the turn goes in. He has stem. At least you have a shield battery, which is nice. Oh, this move out was... Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, that
Ay,
was
ay,
it.
ay. Okay, I know why that happened, right? Like, he started attacking you with a Reaper, and you're like, hey, I need to clean this Reaper, so you move your entire army. But hey, there's a Terran army waiting for you outside.
Yup, that's exactly what happened.
Okay, so what you would have in this situation, if you did the build order correctly, you would already have Blink, you would have map vision of him moving out. So that means you would be able to buy yourself, again, a couple of seconds time, or maybe try to micro yourself out with against the Marines and the Marauders and blink out. And that means his actual attack would be units slightly bruised, and you would have a shield battery ready to fall back to, meaning that you would be able to save the third base. Your opening basically cost you so much money and so much time that you have everything later rather than sooner. as harsh as it sounds.
Oh yeah. Which I kind of assumed, but...
At least you have +1 attack going for you, so that's nice. Yeah, still no blink, so he can easily deny this third base. I mean, it's not like the Terran is playing perfectly either, so it's a perfectly recoverable situation. But he's definitely super far ahead in this moment. When a Terran has a third base done and settled at the third base, and you are just only starting your third base, you know you're in a really rough spot, and it's a tough situation for you to be in. You're starting at least you're starting your upgrades from the forge immediately, so that's nice for you. But your unit count is very little. Your probe count is very little as well compared to his. Yeah, the Terran is playing well enough macro-wise. He's not upgrading. Okay, in this situation, it's really tough to say what you would have to do to come back, because you're just significantly far behind, and the Terran can just sit back and produce from the 5 Raxes and just go as soon as he has Medivacs, because you are not going to be able to produce enough units to simply defend this kind of push. It all comes down to the execution of the build order in here, I feel like.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happens. I knew I was behind, so I built the Dark Shrine.
Yeah, yeah, went behind Dark Shrine, right?
Yep. So...
Hey, look at this. You have double cannon in the main. That's right, mate. I can understand.
I've died so many times to drops that I just like, you know what? If I have cannons, it'll delay the drop for just 5 more seconds.
Okay, but the thing is, it's not. I mean, it could delay, it could help, but they can just fly in at the top, you know, completely avoid the cannons. They can avoid the cannons from here as well. I would never recommend cannons in here. Especially in a situation where you are so economically behind that you cannot really afford static defense. I mean, static defense is good and all, and I suppose like on the lower levels they can really mess up with your opponent and feel like, hey, I cannot go in here because he's already prepared with cannons, but overall this is not the money that you want to be spending on. At least you're going for Colossus, which is a good comeback unit. Maybe a Disruptor would be nice. The Terrans maybe not be able to micro, but it's a hit and miss, right? If you get a good Disruptor shot, then that's great for you. If you miss it, then it's game over. At least Colossus is like constant damage. One thing, again, at the very least, have 1 sentry with your army at all times. At least 1 sentry. Guardian Shield is the best thing that the Protoss have against Terran units, because the Terran units are all ranged units, and Guardian Shield is effective against every Terran unit there is. So it's +2 armor and, you know, two upgrades for free, basically, if you have a sentry with your army. If you don't have a sentry, the Terran army is just so much stronger. Yeah, this push is just going to kill you, isn't it?
Yep.
There's nothing you can do in here. Nice scan actually from him. He has 1/1 upgrade, you have +2 attack. Your +3 is really quick, which is nice. You remembered about this. Yeah, it all came down to the opening. I'm not sure if I can teach you anything in here, but if you want to write down some notes, I can give you the, let's say, exact build order right now, if you want.
Let me pull up a Google Doc.
Yeah. Maybe this will be better.
Alrighty.
Okay, so I will not give you like the exact timing, but I will give you the order of the buildings. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so you start with the gateway as you do now, which is fine. I'll slow down the replay. So you go for the gateway. Constant pro production. Don't forget about that. So gateway, so it's going to be pylon, gateway, assimilator. And you were doing it correctly this time. Constant pro production. No second guess. Don't forget about that. And then you go 20, I think. So as soon as gateway finishes, you go for the cybercore. And as soon as the cybercore finishes, you go, I'm sorry, let me start again. As soon as the gateway finishes, you go for the cybercore. And as soon as you start cybercore, you should have 400 minerals to start a Nexus at 20. So at 20, you basically stop pro production, start cybercore and Nexus almost at the same time. And then you still don't start pro production and go for 20 pylon. So basically 20 cybercore, 20 Nexus, 20 pylon on the low ground in here. Connected to the Nexus.
Okay.
So that's the very beginning that will give you the better opening, really. Then you of course restart the pro production after the second pylon and go for the second gas as soon as you have money for it. Then you go for the adept to scout for the front, right? As we discussed in the first game and somewhat in this game as well. And then at around 210. 215, could be slightly later, depending how well you execute the build order. You want to throw down your first tech structure, if it's a Stargate, a Twilight Council, or a robotics facility.
A forge.
Or a forge is not necessarily a tech structure. It's going to really not give you any advantage if the Terran is going to be attacking you. Because if you invest into a forge first, you will not have the advantage of having the tech of it, right? It will only be useful after the upgrade finishes. So you're investing 150 minerals and the time to mine that minerals, 100 and 100 for the upgrade, and the time for that upgrade to finish. And it's not giving you any advantage of that up until it finishes. And even if it finishes, it's not that crucial. So a blink first, or I don't know, a charge, Stargate, whatever, is much better than having a forge first. So this is the slightly build order that I can give you to go for, and then, well, obviously whatever the game shows you, then you have to kind of react to it. But I think it all came down to the build order in here. Like up until 230, you can have it kind of written down, and that's an easy build order. But then you have to scout what your opponent is doing with the adept. Any question? What if I could answer you?
No, that actually helps out a lot more because, as I said, I'm former Zerg player. We normally don't tech till quite a bit later, so I didn't know exactly when to throw down tech buildings and stuff. I guess for my play style, what would be the best tech structure? Because I guess it would depend on matchup too, but there's not very many timing attacks from Stargate.
Yes.
Actually, I guess there kind of are, but then they're a little bit later timing attacks. So, and then, all right, back in Heart of the Swarm, definitely versus Zerg, I was definitely a Blink all-in player. I actually really like Blink Stalkers, and I just don't know how effective Blink Stalkers are anymore.
Yeah, Blink Stalkers are quite crucial in PvT. They're a very good unit. However, opening Blink is, let's say, quite technical, because you need to understand the presence of the map with the Stalkers. You need to understand the timings of a Terran. But I would still recommend you Twilight Council tech and starting off with Blink, followed up by Robotics Facility and Observers. Observers will give you the map vision around the map in here,
right,
and also give you a vision inside of the Terran natural and see when they are moving out. You can keep a couple of Stalkers at the front of the Terran base. If they move out, you shoot a unit and then you walk back or blink back if they're in danger, and then you shoot again and shoot again. It's very taxing, but if Terran moves out early, that means they do not have, let's say, anti-blink Stalker army, right? They can only take that damage, and by the time they arrive in your base, you will already bruise that kind of army. So for your playstyle, for PvT, I would definitely recommend a Twilight Council. Yeah, with a robo followed up. And yeah, the Twilight Council should be going up at around like 220. Like basically as your second gateway unit is in production, like it is right now. I mean, it's like third minute right now, but it should be slightly faster, right?
Right.
As soon as your second gateway unit is producing, you should be able to throw down Twilight Council as soon as you have money for it. And then,
Okay.
as soon as Twilight Council finishes, you go for Blink. Basically, what you want to have is 3 gate, Twilight Council, Robo. That's what you want to have, and then a third base starting. With the 3 gates, you will be able to have enough Stalker production to repel any kind of Terran pressure with like Widow Mines or Hellions or whatever they're going to be to do. And a shield battery, if they're going to be aggressive versus you, will keep the Stalkers alive with the Blink Micro. So definitely, I will recommend you to go for the Twilight Council and 3 gate Robo, basically.
Okay. Alrighty.
Any questions about this game?
No.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to teach you from this game because it's really the beginning that
Yeah.
really screwed you over.
Yeah. That's a common thing for most of my games.
Yeah, I mean it's perfectly fine. Like I know we're not perfect players, but if we just like if we are thinking about mid game or late game, you said you're like want to have good timing attacks. It's very important to have a clean early game. If you don't have a clean early game, that means your timing attack is going to be slightly worse. If it's slightly worse, then it's not going to be as effective. If it's not going to be as effective, you're likely going to not win with it, or at least not do as much damage.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's just a chain reaction, you know. If like early game, as boring as it is, every single game, is the most important part of StarCraft, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true for almost any race.
Yeah.
That's one thing. When I did play Zerg, I had sort of coach me every now and then, and he told me my early games always need to be, which I was improving each and every time. But yeah, he's told me that the first like 5 to 6 minutes are probably the most important for any race, for any game, because if you don't have a good build order, or like you gotta get all your build order down with your tech structures, you gotta keep probing, droning, or
Yes,
SCVing.
exactly.
You got to make sure that your scouting information is on, not perfect, but you know, if they're all ending you, if you go 3 hits before pool, you're dead.
Yeah, basically you
And-
need to be aware of the situation, right? Like
Yeah.
it's different for all kinds of levels, but yeah, sort of is definitely one of the Zergs that will have a good build order written down, and his execution is going to be good enough. So I'm glad that you were coached by him. He definitely gave you some good points.
Yeah, and then he taught me how to queen walk. So
Instant 100% win ratio then.
close if I execute it.
Yeah, it's different
don't-
when you watch it and different when you play it.
Oh my gosh, it looks so easy when you watch someone play. You're just like, yeah, I can do that, and then you play it, you're like, I don't know how they do it.
Yep, yeah.
Well, my problem was I accidentally kept my queens and ravagers on the same hotkey, so every time I went for corrosive bile, my queens tried to lay down a creep tumor. Didn't really work.
Classic, that's a classic. Yeah, the different spellcasters. Do you have another replay?
Yes, I guess probably America would be best now.
Yeah, let's go America. That's fine. Let's go America. Same channel, coaching. I'm so happy that they have this like region switch. So much easier than it used to be back in the day. Coaching. What?
Yeah.
I don't have permission to create or join that channel. What have you done? Okay, let's join channel mana.
All right. Apparently, they're not being friendly to us.
Yeah, what the hell?
Oh, now let's see.
So this is your main
That
account, the one that you're playing under?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, you have Zerg 3.5, Protoss 3.6. Yeah, not too many games.
No, being a truck driver, it's kind of hard to. And then every now and then I goof off and I play random, and that doesn't go too good when I get Terran.
It all makes sense that you don't have as many games, and then your like build orders are not that perfect because well you simply don't have enough practice with that, right? So it just makes sense that it's not as clean. And StarCraft takes practice, just like everything in life, really. I'm sure you weren't a perfect truck driver at the beginning either.
No. Yeah, I think I was better at StarCraft. I think I had a bet. Like at first, I was a better StarCraft 2 player than truck driver by a good long shot.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. Now this game I spawned in as random. I'm about 90% sure,
So your
correct me
opponent
if I'm
didn't
wrong.
know. So your opponent didn't know.
I told them when I play random, I tell them the person my race.
Cool. Yeah, that's
Nine
very
times
nice
out
of
of
you.
10. So I play more for the fun of the game too, and I know playing versus random players is not fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Do you remember what happened at this game? Anything to focus on?
drops killed me this game.
Drops.
I know that. Yeah,
Okay.
multi-pronged drops killed me this game.
Oh.
Again, I don't think my early game was very well executed here.
Yeah.
And
I can already see the same pattern that you have with the pylon wall off. It's not going to be a full wall off against the Reaper.
yep.
I can already see it. It's the same thing because on this map again you need 3 buildings. Pylon needs to be part of the wall off. And even if it looks
maybe
like a wall off, but it's not.
Okay, so maybe I spawned in as Protoss this game. I can't remember my games.
It's like,
I need to
oh,
I need to start naming my replays. And yeah, I lost the SUV. I'm in pro.
Yeah, never do that. Okay, that's already a big problem. Because it's again goes for the same point that I've made in the previous game, that you need to keep the probe alive around 145, right, to see if there's a command center going, if they're making a Marine, Reaper, and so on. So again, you're playing with the same lack of information. Okay, you're going for the same opening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was a earlier game than my than the previous replay that I showed you.
Yeah.
So the previous replay I showed you was actually yesterday, and then this one was 2-3 days ago, I want to say.
Yeah. Again, look at the Nexus. You have 400 middles right now, right? So I will always push my students to do one thing, and is to create or use whatever you're doing immediately as you have money. So if you have 400 middles right now, the probe should be already on the low ground and already creating Nexus. Like in this very game, it's 205 for you. Technically, it should be so much faster, but let's go in this game. So take a look how long it takes you for to create a Nexus. It's again your lovely 10 seconds difference, and well, to be exact, 12 seconds difference. So that's again, you know, just think about it in StarCraft, that when you have money or when you created something, it has to make, like, it has to have a purpose. So if you are planning to expand, try to create the expansion as soon as you have money. If your toilet console finishes, you have to be prepared to start an upgrade immediately. If your warp gate finishes, you need to be ready to warp in, right? If your robotics facility finishes, you need to be ready to create an observer or a warp prism or whatever you want to create of it immediately as it finishes, because that's the precious seconds that will cost you the game, like we could see in the game number 1.
Right.
Okay, robot toilet console. I would like it to in a different order, but it's okay in this game. Your opponent is going for this pesky Hellion drop, followed by Widow Mines. I can already see the damage you're going to take. This is going to be awful.
Yeah, it wasn't fun to deal with.
Yeah, it's very frustrating to play against, because you feel like you have some tools to defend. Oh, actually, your observer spots the medivac. That's really nice. Did you react to it though? I don't think you did.
No. I think I was preoccupied with something else, and
all right.
Well, I did see the Hellion, so I did build a forward wall. So
it's a bit late with that.
It's a bit late, and there's a medevac in my main base with cloaked Widow Mines.
Let me teach you in here. So, if you look at your pylons in the natural, you have 2 pylons like hugging the Nexus. You have 1 pylon hugging the Nexus in the main base as well, and the mistake there is you can have 1 of these pylons or even 2 of these pylons put in here and in here at the edge of the main base. So you spotted the medivac with the observer and you didn't see it. You know, happens, you were occupied somewhere else. And now the second spotter would be these pylons in here. You would be able to see this medivac 2-3 seconds slightly faster, and then those 2-3 seconds would give you enough time to either pull the probes away to the natural base and pull your army towards the medevac, right? Right now, you barely see a medevac. So these pylons will basically give you a faster heads up. And now you're reacting the moment he's already in your middle line, so that's the precious couple of seconds. He has cloaked mines as well. And you have no
Yep.
observers. Yeah, I can see what you meant. Drops killed you. Actually, you're not taking that much damage. It's really not that bad at the moment. You have the observer. Okay, you
That's
pull
going
the
to my
probes. Okay. Okay, the mine doesn't hit a second time. Okay.
Yeah, I actually felt like I held that drop. I could probably continue, as you can tell with my money, continue to produce stuff and stuff, everything. And I went ahead been so low on my probe count, but I felt like that's not the drop that, yeah.
This
killed me.
could have been so much worse for you, absolutely. If you take a look at your money, you have 1,000 minerals, meaning you could have a third base already, well, halfway done, to be honest. But obviously, the drop will really keep you occupied. You have a very big supply block at 62 for quite a long time. But I like what you're going to do with this money is building double forge, and that's a good way to spend your money on upgrades because, well, this money will still be there, and you can still produce stuff out of the robotics facility. Let's see if the robobay finishes. What are we going to do? Colossus immediately, I suppose. Robobay finishes. That's a couple of seconds. That's a lot. Okay, that's okay. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Now, what have you done with the observer in his natural? This guy was in front of his natural the entire time, and you've had what, a minute and a half to see what exactly he's doing. You don't know if he has a third base. Yeah, you're basically doing your thing in your side of the map without realizing what your opponent is doing. So
Yeah.
this observer should be, I mean, in the surveillance mode is fine, but after you scouted what he's doing, because if he has a third base, that means he will not likely push you anytime soon with a deadly army. Like, even though you took some damage with the drops, but if you see a third base, that means they have invested the 400 minerals and the time to create that command center, meaning less units, more economy for the guy. And then again, you're not seeing the move out, I suppose. You're not paying attention. You don't have units in position to do that. You have what it takes to defend this. You have a strong army. Well, he's actually not pushing out. What the hell is this, Marauder? Help us. What are you guys doing there? What drugs are you taking? What the hell?
I don't know what kind of drugs they're taking but I did. Yeah.
That's funny. That's really funny.
One thing that's very common too in Diamond League that I just figured out too, Diamond Terrans really like cloaked winnow mines, and when they have like 50 of them, they kill all your observers.
Yeah, the cloak widow mines are one of the most frustrating and, let's say, skill-less units that you can have. So they can be very frustrating, just like disruptors can be very frustrating for the Diamond Terrans because they cannot micro against this.
Yep.
Okay, so this move out could have been dealt slightly better, but you still have like enough of an army to push it back. Your position after the drop is absolutely playable, much more playable than game number 2 that we watched. If you one second, let me start again. If you would have paid more attention with this observer, you would have seen that he has a liberator already with this army. I know it's difficult to keep everything, like every information, but you could have seen the liberator with this observer, meaning that you would have stalkers prepared for the harassment either in the main or the natural. Especially if we look at the map 2000 atmospheres, this map has two crucial information centers, the watchtowers. If you have a single unit in here and a single unit in here at the top, especially near a third base, right? The most crucial Xelanaga tower. If you have a zealot there or a probe there, you would see this army moving out slightly faster. If you just go back to the replay, and you would see the liberator. So let's say you have a unit at the watchtower. You would see it immediately now, and now you can prepare units accordingly, right? This Xelanaga tower is already in the range if you would have a unit here. So you have 6 stalkers here. Preparing for a drop, good, nice splitting of the army, preparing for the potential of a drop, and the drop is coming, right? We can see this guy in here, so I like this split. So if you see the army moving out right now, you don't have to pull all the 6 stalkers from the main base, but you can simply warp in 2-3 stalkers. You would see this army is really not that dangerous, and the liberator, the mineral harassment can be dangerous. So you warp in defensively here, your army is put in here, the Immortal and so on is put in here, and then you defend everything flawlessly. I want to see how much damage you're actually going to be taking here from that Liberator and the drop. Yeah, so you're losing some pylons. Yeah, it's not really that bad. You have charge. The front army is not doing anything, but what's the damage, the crucial damage is, that was just a distraction, right? You're losing so many probes to the Hellions. The Liberator was also a distraction. Oh my god. Okay, that's painful. That's absolutely game-ending damage. Absolutely game-ending damage. If you had the 6 Stalkers here, this wouldn't have happened. If you had an Observer here to give yourself heads up, this wouldn't have happened. So again, it's a problem of having the map control, and even though you pretend you have the map control, you have the observers, you don't necessarily use them. Exactly. You're not using them. So it's again, you know, having the theory, but using the theory is completely different. It's like, hey, I know I need observers with my army to clear the Widow Mines, but if I don't have units that can, you know, kill the Widow Mines out of the range and the Widow Mines still shoot and they kill units, that really doesn't matter. Oh, nice snipe on the medevac, actually. This guy has a planetary fortress as the third base.
I was kind of surprised about that too.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, right now it's really too late. Like, you cannot break the planetary fortress. But the first drop was not defended too badly. Like, you pulled the probes and you defended it quite well. This one was definitely the game-ending damage. So my crucial points about this game would be, you spotted the medevac in here with the observer, so be more wary about the minimap, especially around the 4:30 minute mark. On the lower levels could be slightly later, obviously, but around 4:30 minute mark, try to glance at the minimap more often than not, because that's around the timing where the standard medevac timings is going to be happening. And if you have a observer moving across the map, it's likely it will see a medevac or a Hellion or whatever. And especially because you spotted the Hellions earlier on, right? You said it yourself. You spotted the Hellions, so you started the wall off. And then especially if you see the Hellions, you should be glancing on the minimap and preparing for a potential drop in the main. And even though the first drop didn't do that much damage, it could have done no damage whatsoever as well, if you were simply more wary, right, of your surroundings. Again, put some pylons on the edge of your main. That will give you, again, a couple of more seconds to react to the drops. I liked your split, right? I said I like your split with the 6 Stalkers in the main base in here, but your main army should be at the third base, because then that's your most vulnerable position. Watch your map, understand the map, so use the watchtowers to give you, again, a couple of seconds of faster of information, because the moment he was at your third base, you had to pay your attention to the third base rather than the main base where the Hellions were, or the Liberator in the natural.
Right.
Yeah, do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, and normally those Stalkers would stay, but I panicked up too. Which is my spacebar.
Obviously, right? Like it's you know, you're being attacked, you want to defend. Like it's a typical human reaction. What separates the I'm gonna say noobs from the pros is that they keep calm in the panic situation. They understand that they are in no threat. Like if you see, I don't know how much that was, like 5 Marauders, 3 Hellbats and so on.
Yeah.
Like I would know that I can defend this with an Immortal and a couple of Adepts and the Colossus that you have had. So if I know I can defend the front, then I can focus my eyes somewhere else, in here on the left side, right, for the drop. So I would leave the Stalkers there. I know I'm no threat of losing the third base.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense, because then if those Stalkers were in my main, I could have just warped in 2-3 Stalkers in my natural, pulled the probes for a little bit, and I'm still at 60 workers at this point, and it's still a game.
And you still have double upgrades going for you, and you are perfectly defending the 3 different locations where he would absolutely be trading some of these units. And if you defend 3 locations at the same time, that's already a big victory for you, because that's meant to really crumble you, and it did in this very game. And I know it's difficult to defend 3 locations, but you had the tools to do it, you simply didn't do them properly, right? Do you have any questions about this game?
I did not.
Okay.
That actually makes sense, because that one drop is the one that killed me.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was a perfectly playable situation. I liked the way that you reacted to the first drop. You know, you pulled the probes, you left one probe to set the widow mine, then you pulled the probes again to mine. Obviously, it took you some time to go back to mining, like there was some mining time lost, but I can understand on this level there's like so many things that you need to do at the same time that it simply takes some time for you to process it.
Yeah, and it's like a, I won't lie, I didn't leave the probe on purpose to.
Oh, that's an accident?
It was an accident. I just didn't pull all my probes. My bad.
Happy little accident.
Yeah. Because I heard the will mine go off. I'm like, crap, the hell, I lose a bunch of probes because I was pulling them down to my main and I was trying to pull my army up, and then I looked, I'm like, no, I still have all my probes. I wonder what it went off on.
Okay,
now I know.
We will say it was not an accident. It was a perfect play, calculated play. Okay, let's give you some credit. All calculated.
I'm trying to. So those were most of my PvT replays. A lot of them follow what Game 3 was, where a drop came in, did way too much damage. I couldn't really come back, and I guess that's where, when something happens to you multiple times, you kind of get horrified of it. So that's probably where those emergency cannons just come in place, no matter if I'm ahead, behind, or even.
I would definitely recommend you to go for the cannons in your mineral lines, though, like, because then if there's a widow mine drop and you don't notice it, like, sure, your pro's still going to blow up because the cannon will not stop the widow mine from burrowing and shooting, but at least it will clean it up for you. And maybe the Terran will be like, hey, he has a cannon. Maybe I don't need to drop in here because it's a little bit scary. I don't want to lose my units, right? Or maybe he will not be quick enough to burrow, unburrow, or whatever. So it's going to ease your mind a little bit. So if you can afford a cannon in the mineral lines to prevent future drops like that, you're still going to lose properly. Like, it's not going to be completely deflecting the harassment from the Terran player, but it will definitely help you. Especially since you're floating so much money most of the time, so you can definitely use that in the mid game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because definitely after holding that, I was floating 1K minerals and almost 500 gas. Which I dropped down to double forge, and I could probably start chrono boosting out that double forge, which would be a lot better than just.
You would have a very good timing in the mid game with either 1-1 finishing, and you had like Colossus and so on, or even wait for 2-2. That would be a bigger power spike for your units, because with the double forge and chrono boost, well, you would simply have more upgrades than your opponent, but then you have to survive throughout the game, right? For this to kick in.
Right. Okay. I know I kind of asked you in your stream about PvP, because I was always going double forge, which cost me a lot of minerals and gas.
Yes.
And now I'm only going single forge, and I actually held off a really, it was a weird all-in, but I held it off, which I'm happy about.
Do you have a PvP replay actually? If because I'm worried about your beginning because you said, hey, I kind of know the beginning, but then the beginning in PvT was, I'm not gonna lie, it was horrible. So if you have a PvP replay, maybe I can at least check the early game to help you out with this.
All right.
Sweaty Pike. Nice. Romanticide, alright. Yeah, we can check this.
I love some of these NA names. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the map that I actually held this all in, so I was actually really happy with my scouting information. But yeah, apparently I knew my early game, thought it was good. Apparently it's not, so I don't know anything about Protoss. So.
It's alright, man, it's alright. Don't worry about it. I will be harsh because I can see so many things. Like, compared to a pro gamer, it was horrible. Compared to
this was weird.
Oh, what the hell?
This guy was just asking me so many random questions. I was like, what the hell?
Oh, this would be alarm bells for me. Like, hey, is he all-in, cannon rushing me, right?
That's why I scouted really. I was about to be like, should I just scout randomly with my first probe? I thought I was getting cannon rush, because half the time that's what happens. And
yeah,
they talk to you.
Exactly.
And then
they take your attention away.
Rush.
Yeah, good thought process, okay. Cybercore. Okay, you're not making probes. Okay, now you're restarting. With the in PvP, you have to have constant probe production no matter what. It was not a big deal, but I'm just trying to nitpick a little bit in here.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, keep the probe alive. in his base. In PvP, the beauty of PvP, you can keep this probe for such a long time, like up until 2 minutes and 30 seconds around his base. Because right now, because you came back with the probe, he can throw down a Stargate or a Twilight Council and go for the Dark Shrine without you noticing it, right? If you keep the probe alive, at least it's delaying the tech. And if he is going to throw down the tech earlier before his gateway units are out, you're at least going to spot it. So keep the probe alive in the main base of a Protoss player up until 2:25, I'm gonna say, because that's usually when the gateway units are out. Yeah, your opening is fine. Double stalker. You're going to meet in the middle. Boop, boop. Nice position for you in the bushes. You win the fight. Nice micro back. Well done. This guy. Nice. Good job. Okay, he's going for the Stargate. Nexus. Okay, your probes are rallied to the natural. And this guy is playing weird. Zealots, what is he doing?
I don't know what he was doing, but it kind of weirded me out too.
Yeah.
Well, I actually thought he was going Dark Templar because I didn't see the Stargate.
Yeah.
Until later, so.
I see Zealots, I think Dark Templar too.
Yeah.
Okay, though, I mean, dude, come on. Look at this. You're here with the Stalkers, right? Yeah. You see lack of natural. Your Nexus is almost finished. You go up the ramp and you see like 4 units, like 4 Zealots and 2 Stalkers up the ramp. Please throw down a shield battery immediately. You are in danger. And yeah, you have 3 probes queued up in the main base with the probe in the Nexus. So you can cancel both of them and throw down a battery, at least one. Like I would be throwing down at least 2 immediately. But at least you have a battery in the middle line, which is nice. Perfectly timed, actually, for the Oracle. Okay, there's the shield battery in the natural. Yeah, Oracle is doing nothing. Perfect. Good job. You've been leaving 1 Stalker here. Good. I like that you keep the Stalkers here as well. So you see him moving out. Yeah, that's that's well played defense so far. Okay. Battery finishes. Like, his attack makes no sense.
This was the weird all-in that I was talking about, because at this point I was just like, I'm just going to build a bunch of shield batteries and hopefully...
This is very good. Yeah, very good. Very good. Like you immediately realize, like, you're being attacked, you throw down 3 shield batteries, you have a Nexus going down. You are not underestimating this attack, and this is one of the problems that can happen when you see a move out and like, I can easily defend this with a single or 2 batteries. If you look at the situation in a replay, you could be throwing down even 5 shield batteries and you would be fine economically. So the way that you're doing this is perfectly fine. 3 shield batteries, 1 in the back as well. This has no potential to kill you whatsoever. I really like that you have additional gateway as well in here, the 3rd gateway. Robotics facility is not the ideal situation to have in PvP, but at least you are safe against DTs and the Immortal will keep you alive as well. Yeah, more batteries, more pylons, perfect. Yeah, I like this very much. In this situation, try to target fire Void Rays, which is what you are doing. I like this very much. Oh, but you're... super battery. You should have a super battery slightly faster.
I forgot the hotkey.
Yeah, it's a stressful situation, but okay, it happens now. Also, I would recommend, if you're seeing this amount of Zealots from him, Adepts are actually pretty good versus the Zealots. They kill them quite quickly, they have the additional damage for the Zealots, right, for the light units. Zealots on your own are somewhat fine, but they have to kind of walk forward to fight. And if they walk forward to fight, their tanking is limited because they are, like, right now they're walking outside of shield battery range. If you have Adepts, they don't need to walk outside of their shield battery range. But other than that, it was a very good defense. Yeah, 3 gates, Robo, like you were scared of DTs, that's why you went Robo, and that's why you have no Observer. And then...
Well, I saw the Stargate, so...
Yeah, you spotted the Oracle, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Good defense.
Actually, I kind of felt like my scouting information was pretty decent in this.
Yeah, I agree. So, the only bad thing was running away with the probe immediately, right? You should have kept it in the main base. I like that you stuck around here with the 4 Stalkers for a long time. You spotted no Nexus. The moment you saw you're in threat, you started shield batteries without much of a delay. Like, I cannot really blame you for that, so that's nice. I like that you had a shield battery in the main base because you were not sure what this is going to be. If this is DTs, shield battery is not going to help you, right? Because it still one-shots the probes. But if this is a Stargate, which it was, it would help you. So you took into consideration multiple options, and that was nice of you. Additional third gateway was also crucial in this defense because that would that let you create more units with the higher economy that you had. Yeah, good stuff, man.
Okay. So that's about my only one good PvP replay.
Yeah, I mean,
because it was a terrible all-in at the same time. So in PvP, Robo Facility is not that great, and then Twilight or Stargate, I guess, in reality, because Blink is really good in PvP.
Yeah, Blink Stalker's Twilight Council is really the opening, the tech building. You can go Stargate, but again, it's more technical and it's more dangerous to die because if you're investing into an Oracle and it turns out the guy is all-inning you, you can die much more quickly. It's somewhat similar to the Twilight Council though, because if you invest into a Twilight Council, you will not be able to use it up until the blink finishes. So that's, you know, like a period of 2 minutes when you're investing into a tech structure and tech buildings where it's not useful. But once blink finishes, it's like you can survive pretty much any attack with proper micro and especially shield batteries. So I would definitely be recommending Twilight Council and Forge throwing down at around the same time. If you are scared of DTs or so on, you have the Forge to throw down a cannon in front of your natural, and then the DTs cannot really sneak in. But the biggest thing about PvP is I think you should have some sentries to constantly hallucinate your opponent, and then you know exactly what you're up against and what kind of timings they have on their attack and so on.
Oh, scouting info.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, okay. And then my final question, because I don't hold this properly at all, just because I hate it, playing against it, 12 pools for Zergs.
12 pools.
That happens so much in Diamond League. I played like 5 PvZs in a row, and I got 12 pull each and every game. After the 5th one, I just quit.
Do you mean a 12 pull with a proxy hatch in your...
No, sorry, it's just a normal 12 pull. Just a normal 12 pull, 6 to 10 lings. And they just move across the map, and if you're not prepared, they snipe your first pylon, and then you lose.
Okay, I don't have a replay at hand to show you. I can try to give you some theory. If you scout after the pylon, right, you go into the main base of the Zerg, you see the 12 pull, you understand this is a 12 pull, right? You know when it happens? You understand it?
Yeah, I used to pull a bunch as Zerg too. So.
Okay, so you know the drone count, you saw the larva and so on. So what you can do, you build, you start on the low ground obviously. With the pylon, you go for the gateway. You go for the cyber core before the nexus, and you go for the pylon between the gateway and between the cyber core. So it creates a little choke. Right, so you have like a almost a full wall off, but it's not a full wall off. It's a choke where the zealot is supposed to defend. You can even start a nexus in the meantime, but what's most important is to start the zealot as soon as the gateway finishes, and not delay your cyber core. So basically, start the zealot as soon as the gateway finishes. You start the cyber core, and then as soon as you have 400 minerals, you can start the nexus. But rather than focusing on the nexus is to focus on the zealot production, right? So the zealot starts, chrono boost out the first one. You can even go for the second zealot with the chrono boost if you want to save the chrono boost for that. And then as soon as the cybercore finishes, you start the adept. So the main role of the zealots is to hold the wall. Obviously, they will start attacking with the Zerglings on your gateway or the cybercore or the pylon, which is slightly lower. But that's the important part, to have the pylon close to the zealots. That's why it's between the gateway and the cybercore, and it's not necessarily on the side. Because if they are going to be attacking the pylon, the zealot can kind of like go away from the wall to snipe a Zergling and then go back, snipe a Zergling and go back. You want to also pull 3 to 4 probes to have this in the wall with the zealot, because the singular zealot will not be able to fight the 6 links or the 8 links if they continuously want to rally the links in. So that's where you have the 4 probes. The 4 probes give you the tanking potential, right? They can still tank some of the Zergling shots, but most importantly, zealot will 2-shot Zerglings if at least one probe is attacking that Zergling. So basically it takes only
Oh.
one probe shot, right? If there's one probe shot on a Zergling, that means the Zealot will already two-shot that Zergling. So that's already so much time bought for you. So if you're fighting with the Zealot and the probes against Zerglings, it will be simply much more effective than just a singular Zealot.
Okay, that makes... I did not know that part, but okay. Because me and my Protoss brain, I just dropped on a Forge and a cannon and I continue on with my build, but then I'm fully walled in.
Yeah,
So-
it's one of the things that you can do. That way, at least you can start a Nexus faster. But what gives the Zerg is, hey, I don't build more links. Like he will see the Forge with an Overlord, right? And if you overcommit to the defense, it's free real estate really for the Zerg to drone up all the time, go for the third base, and you have no pressure whatsoever on them, and they can out-drone you quite quickly. The Forge defense is possible, but it's not optimal.
Right. So what I've done was I built the Forge, and normally I only build one cannon unless I see multiple more links come out, and then I would build like, you know, maybe two cannons at most.
One cannon is far enough. It's really enough.
Yep. Yeah, and then I just go Nexus, and then the previous games I just went into Stargate with going to like an Oracle for harass, and then carriers.
That's what we all want.
Yep. And so one game I won with it because the Zerg player wasn't that good, and for some reason he Bailey busted me. And then with a Gateway Forge Cybercore wall. So as a Zerg player, I knew that was a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
No. And then the next game I lost because he went Corruptors and I didn't have enough carriers or AoE or anything that I needed. So, but yeah, no, that's but I was always just curious on what was the more proper way to hold it because I'm pretty good with my micro. I'm more of a micro intensive player over
That's
macro.
good. That's good for 12 point defense, especially.
Yep. And so I've always went like very as Zerg or as Protoss when I was playing Protoss, I went more macro intensive builds. And no, I mean micro intensive builds, so which lacks my macro at times, but that's why I'm more of a timing attack / you know, because with timing attacks you have the exact amount of buildings and you know the way that you have to spend your money that you really have low amount of money, and when you're attacking all you're doing is warping in.
I'm much more of a timing attack player myself, so I understand what you mean. I like to do more with my units than everyone else can, so sometimes I'm too occupied on micro 4 stalkers to kill 2 SCVs, and then I'm floating 500 minerals. I'm like, that's not worth it, but it looks flashy at least. So, and I feel good about myself like that at least.
That's me. I'm just like, listen, I killed 5 SCVs. I might be floating 1,000 minerals. I'll just drop down a couple gateways. It's fine.
Ready for macro.
Yeah. Just look at the micro part of it. I tell everyone that. But yeah, no, I actually learned a lot, and definitely with my openings. So PvP, okay. PvP is 2 gas, and then is PvZ 1 gas or 2 gas, or is it just really depending on what you're doing?
It's definitely 1 gas. It's the same opening that you are doing in PvT, with just on the low ground, right side of things. So you throw down the Nexus at 20, but you don't go Cybercore before the Nexus in PvZ. You go Nexus before the Cybercore, and then you throw down the second gas before the second pylon.
Okay, alrighty, that makes sense then. And yeah, I think that's about kind of all the questions I had. I'm going to work on my early game then, and
yeah, absolutely,
go from there. I think
I'll also be probably throwing this out on YouTube, so if you want to rewatch it and try to remember the reconstruction of the games, the advice that I gave you, will feel free to watch it. I hope I was able to help you, and you'll be able to improve a bit.
Oh, it was a lot of help. I bet you I could just improve a lot with just improving my early game.
Yes, absolutely. You can absolutely improve much more if you just clean up your early game. And then if you clean up your early game, your mid-game transitions are going to be much smoother. You will be able to understand it much easier. And I'm sure if you take all this advice into your heart and implement them into your game, you're absolutely going to improve a bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, just I just thought I always had a pretty decent early game. No, you shot that out the window very quickly.
I mean, that's what everybody thinks. You know, if you go to Reddit, like, yeah, you know, there's like a bronze league player, like, yeah, I think my early game is pretty good, but I just keep dying to this Zerg that is rushing me with like Ravagers and so on. And then I just think about it, and like, guy in bros thinks his early game is good. Then I think about myself, a pro gamer, one of the best players in the world. Hey, my early game is not that great. So like the different worlds really think differently because they are simply unaware of how deep StarCraft game is.
Yeah, and kind of when you were talking about that, my mind went back to the sort of coaching and how he's just like the first 5 minutes is the most important 5 minutes of any game. He's just like you could actually lose a game within the first 5 minutes, or you could actually win a game in the first 5 minutes. After that, it's more technical based, you know, how you're engaging and stuff. But it's very important the first 5 minutes of the game because if you don't build a single probe or whatever, you're going to lose the game anyways.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's basically the first 5 minutes. Well, it could be first 4, or just basically the early game has so much impact on the mid game that some people are simply unaware of it.
Yeah, and I didn't actually was unaware of it. Even like I understood how important it was with Zerg, but then you were reinforcing it. I was like, heck, it's probably important with all the races at this point. So
every single race has its own little details that we need to take into consideration, and that's why all races are difficult to play. And there's like we have to admire all people on all kinds of races. It's not like, hey, this is easier, this one is easier. You know, we all have our own details.
Oh yeah, but no, I learned a lot, and I'm going to work on that early game. And once I not perfect it, because I'm not going to perfect anything, I'm probably going to start trying to learn some builds that I can do versus, you know, more basic builds, nothing too super complex. I'm not going to pull up disruptor drops out of nowhere. And then I would possibly get some more coaching once I've actually, you know,
feel
learn
free.
more of the early game.
Yeah,
so,
don't do it too quickly. Like, take your time to you know, adjust your play to what we were discussing here. Because the worst thing that would happen if you book under coaching is we talk about the same things that we did here, right? So basically, just take your time to improve. And then if you feel like you have implemented that and you want to continue improving, yeah, feel free to book under coaching. I'll be ready.
Alrighty. Nope, that works for me. Thank you, Mana.
All right, thanks, man. Have a good one. Stop by my stream and let me know how you're improving.
Oh, will do. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care, man. Bye.
Bye.
So that was the coaching. Another student, hopefully happy. Hopefully he'll be able to improve. Hope you guys maybe took something to your side from this coaching session. And I will see you guys on the next video. Enjoy your evening as well, or the day, wherever you are. Take care and bye-bye.